Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer, and I'm 20 years old. Recently, the person I love left me for his wife, despite my efforts. I had an affair with an older man named Henry about a year ago. I met him in college during a class that he taught. Yes, a student and a teacher is not okay, but so you can understand, we had a much bigger problem. At the time when we started dating, he already had a wife, Rachel, and even a 10-year-old son, Timmy. Long story short, all the circumstances screamed that we shouldn't be together, but this wasn't just a spark between us. It was more like a passion bomb exploded between us, and we became lovers in a blink of an eye. We met in motels and parks for a while, secretly from everyone, and that was just the beginning. One day, Henry invited me to his house. And it went like this. Rachel wanted the whole family to go to a nearby town for the weekend to celebrate her mother's birthday. But Henry chose me over a boring family weekend. He lied about having a lot of work to do, so he stayed home. Rachel and Timmy left without him on Saturday morning. You understand that his work was me, right? Long story short, Saturday night, sushi, wine. By the way, we never got to sushi. Everything was magical until at some point our relaxing night was interrupted by the opening of the front door. To my understanding, Rachel had an argument with her mother, so they came back home much earlier than planned, and the first thing they saw was me hugging Henry from behind. Thank God we were already dressed. Obviously, they had questions, but I have to give Henry credit. He came up with an excuse in a hot second. He told his wife that I had come over for an interview to get hired as a nanny for Timmy as a surprise because he wanted to spend more time with her. And the reason for us hugging was me demonstrating my actions in case Timmy chokes. There was a lot to doubt, I agree, but Henry was very persuasive, and Rachel believed it. She was even happy to see how caring her husband was. Yeah, caring. I won't tell you about all the details of my unexpected interview, but due to my shock, I just agreed to everything Rachel said, and I was approved as a nanny for my lover's son as a result. Later in the evening, Henry and I agreed over the phone that I would work for about a week to ensure the credibility of our story, and then I would quit. But on the first day of babysitting Timmy, I realized that this was a dream job. Looking after Timmy was not difficult. I could just give him a gadget and go about my business. It turned out to be more than a job. It was an opportunity to see my loved one more often, and for money. In general, by the time the week passed, I decided to stay. Henry was delighted. After a while, we even started to kiss when his wife was somewhere else in the house. Loads of adrenaline. But the problem happened every single time we wanted something more. So once we crossed the line, Henry called me to their room to make out while Rachel was sleeping there. She had gone to bed early. Apparently, she was tired after work. I don't even know how I agreed to that. It was scary to say the least, but I still agreed. Sensations were insane. It was just like we were robbing a bank or something. But unexpectedly, the sheriff woke up. Thank God we were kissing in the dark. So she didn't see the kiss itself. Henry lied to Rachel again, and she didn't suspect anything. It's unbelievable that Henry wasn't a lawyer, but just a simple teacher. It was cool, of course, but I got tired of the hiding games at one point. So I started thinking about stealing Henry from Rachel for real. Feeling impunity and adrenaline, we became more and more arrogant. I don't know how far we could have gone, but at one point, our audacity was interrupted by an incident. One night, after Timmy had gone to bed and his parents were at home, I was chatting with my friends. I wasn't sitting, but leaning on the kitchen counter, making a 90-degree angle. I didn't hear anyone come in, but all of a sudden, I was slapped on the butt. Automatically, I said something like, "Henry, what if Rachel saw us?" But I turned around and I saw that it wasn't Henry after all. It was his wife standing right in front of me. At that moment, I got so scared that I wanted to disappear. To hide everything for so long just to end up in such a ridiculous situation. But get ready to listen carefully. It turns out that Rachel knew that Henry and I were lovers from the very beginning. She said something like, "Did you really think anyone would believe your stupid excuses?" It turns out that even during our first meeting, she noticed a fresh hickey on my neck and understood everything. Why did she decide to play along with us? The answer shocked me. It was just profitable for her. She and Henry had been together for 15 years, and Rachel felt the fire between them slowly fading. But from her own words, my appearance caused Henry to get her gifts and take her out more often, like in the old times, probably out of guilt or something. So in this case, she decided that having a mistress was more of a good thing. Can you imagine? The only thing she didn't like were incidents like the bedroom one. But as for everything else, she, attention, didn't mind sharing her husband with me. I was already totally shocked. But that wasn't the end. In addition, she said that even though I was her husband's mistress, she liked me as a person, so we could be friends since we had something to talk about. I want you to understand me correctly. I also liked Rachel as a person, but unlike her, I believe that you need to fight for the person you love, and I was not going to just share Henry with her. So I obviously agreed to her friendship, but it was just so I could betray her at a convenient moment. And after a few months, that moment presented itself. It was time to celebrate her birthday. We became very close in just 2 months, so she decided to celebrate her birthday with me, just the two of us. Henry was surprised by our sudden friendship, but he thought of it more as a benefit for our cover-up. On her birthday, we met in a nightclub. We were drinking wine, dancing to loud music. Various guys tried to hit on us throughout the whole night, but they all got rejected, at least by me. As for Rachel, I encouraged her. Like, come on, your husband is cheating on you. What is there to lose? And at some point, she got pretty drunk and started dancing with a handsome man. They started making out right on the dance floor. But instead of separating them, I decided that it would make a great picture. I'm such a good friend. She liked the handsome man from the club very much, so she left with him for the whole night, asking me to cover for her with Henry. At the time, I did cover for her because that was not enough to warrant a divorce. But I was still waiting for the perfect moment. The next day, she shared all the details of what she had done with the guy from the club. To be honest, even Henry and I weren't that wild. I will not go into detail, but I will say that their cheating score is 1-to-1. Rachel thought this club guy, I can't remember his name, was a good potential lover. So she was going to rent a room for the two of them at a motel the next day. Then I came up with an idea. I said that it makes no sense to go somewhere when I could take Timmy and Henry to the zoo while Rachel could stay home. She hesitated for a long time, but the adrenaline rush she got just thinking about that made her accept my offer. The next day came, and I took Timmy and Henry to the zoo as promised. But as soon as I got confirmation from Rachel that her lover had arrived, I immediately turned Henry back to their house, saying that I left my phone there and I was about to get an important call. So what? This is exactly the moment I started being friends with Rachel for. Obviously, Rachel was shocked to see us. She and the club guy started justifying themselves, but at that very moment, I took out my phone and showed Henry the photos taken at the club. When Rachel realized that everything was set up by me, it looked like she was about to attack me like a wild animal. But she did it after we took Timmy to his room. There was a scene that could have been shown on a Discovery Channel show called Predators. Rachel grabbed my hair and tried to pull it out. I did the same thing in return. And for some reason, Henry did not try to separate us, but ran around the house after that club guy. I felt like we were in the epicenter of an earthquake at some point. If Timmy had not left his room because he was disturbed by the loud noises, we would have probably broken all the furniture that they had. When all of us calmed down a little, Henry kicked the club guy out and asked me to go home, saying he would call me later. I went home feeling pretty beat up, but that was not important because Henry was soon to be completely mine. The next day came, so did our long-awaited meeting. But instead of saying that he was leaving Rachel and proposing to me, he said that we had to end any connections between us. I was just shocked. Obviously, I demanded an explanation. And you know what? It turned out that as soon as Henry saw Rachel with another man, his feelings awakened, even though nothing had been there for years. From his words, he realized how many wrong things he had done to her, and he wanted to only be with her. Here's the story. I tried to do everything for the person I loved, but this freak announced that he was leaving me for his wife. It hurt to let him go so easily, so I started blackmailing him. I said that if he left me, I would go to the college administration and tell them about our relationship so that they would fire him. But it didn't affect anything. He said that he didn't expect me to be this way. What a saint he is. And I could do anything, but it wouldn't stop him from loving Rachel. So, there's no moral to this story. Thank you for listening.